How's it going, YouTube? Mistweaver Monk is looking very good in 11.1 so far in the PTR, and mind you, this is all based on the PTR, so a lot is still subject to change. There are a few weeks before it's going to come out, so yeah, a lot can change. But I do want to make a video kind of talking about my thoughts so far on Mistweaver Monk, having tested it a bunch on the PTR, and I want to go through the list of all the changes and kind of talk about some of the bigger talking points on here. So let's just jump in. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's start with the number one change, and that is the Yu'lon's Whisper. I'm kidding. This Yu'lon's Whisper, they keep giving it some love, and I would love to see some play. It's just in its current state. Tying it to Manatee, it's just you use Manatee during downtime, you know what I mean? But I would love to see this keep getting some love, maybe take it off Manatee, give it to something else. I don't know. But let's start with some of the big things. Now, the new talent, Emperor's Favor, when they first announced this is where your Shaylun's Gift basically becomes a giant lay on hands. I was kind of skeptical because Shaylun's Gift, so far, all throughout Dragonflight and the War Within, has been just a staple AoE cooldown in both Mythic Plus and Rating. However, having tested this, I really do enjoy this talent. Now, I've been surprised because it can just snipe a giant heal in raid, which is just very not only good, but it's also very desirable in a healing profile to have a giant shock heal. So if your guild lacks a holy paladin, this is an option, but that doesn't necessarily make it the play, you know? So we're gonna have to keep our eye on this talent to see if it does sneak its way into some raid builds or into some Mythic Plus builds, but so far, I have been very impressed in my testing with this talent, and I would love to see some play because, as you guys probably know, if you've been playing Mistweaver, Shaylun's Gift has felt less and less impactful as time has gone on. At least, you know, that's how the read that I'm getting on it. I just rely on it less and less to heal through a mechanic. So, kind of taking some power away from it or removing this tool from our kit and turning it into a giant spot heals, it's been pretty nice, but it's still, I don't think it's made its way into any of my builds that I'm planning on taking into the season once it launches. Now let's talk about the actual biggest changes, and that is what I'm going to call like our single target damage changes. So if you don't know, they are changing a lot of how Blackout Kick is scaling or how it's doing its damage. And they're also changing the way that Chi works a bit because what was happening. Oh, and also, I'm sorry, our Jade Empowerment is going to be more single target focused as well. So those are the three big changes, the big three changes to like our damage profile. So what was happening back in like season 1 or in times past was that when we had multiple targets to cleave onto with a Chi playstyle with Jade Empowerment, we were doing exceptional healing. If a boss spawned an ad or two ads, we were like, okay, this is fine. But the moment that it became just a boss fight or just a mini boss or just one target hit, like in a raid environment, we lost just a lot of value from a lot of our talents and spells, like our Blackout Kit cleaving, which would then lose value in our Chi windows because we aren't cleaving, getting all of those mastery procs. And then our Jade Empowerment was doing cleave healing, and we were just getting very minimal effect from this on a single target. Now, coming into Season 2, all three of these things have basically been remedied. Our Chi only needs to have one target for us to kick with Blackout Kick in order to kick up those full three mastery procs, which is amazing. However, we don't get any extra mastery procking value from our Blackout Kicks if we are cleaving. It's just all going to be baked into that first target that we're hitting. That is exceptional because we're still getting the max value with 3 targets to cleave onto. However, we're getting bonus effect if we only have 2 targets. So think your 2 target bosses, like the one in Priory, or I guess on current season, Mist of Tyrannicide, you have a second boss to hit on some different bosses or a second ad. But on single target, this also gets its full effect, which has just been incredible, not just in Mythic Plus, making boss fights a lot easier. I mean, imagine trying to take on City of Threads right now. If this were in effect, it would just be that much easier, you know? But it has not only made our Mythic Plus that much easier, but I've also seen a lot of people experimenting with Chi in a raid environment and doing a lot of healing. I don't currently think that it's going to be quite as high of a ceiling as the Yulon playstyle because that playstyle is still just shining bright. But it is starting to get very competitive, which is making me, a Chi-Ji enjoyer, very excited. The same is true for our blackout kicks. They have reduced the cleaving damage from our blackout kicks, but just enhanced the blackout kick damage. So everything that I said about Chi-Ji is basically true to where you get a lot more effectiveness from hitting just a single target or 2 targets than you used to. But then once you hit 3 targets, it's roughly the same, if not a little bit better. So that is very good. As you see here, Jade Fire Awakening now only cleaves at 20% effectiveness instead of 70%. So these do add up to be a lot. Once again, this is helping that Chi-Ji build perform in a raid environment because you're getting a bit more, or significantly more, ancient teachings healing from this. But then in cleaving, you aren't really noticing less of a or more much of a difference. But when you have a priority target to hit, you do notice that difference. You're helping chew through that health bar a bit quicker in a Mythic Plus environment. And then on the same note, the other big change is the Jade Empowerment. Note here that it's under the notes on screen here, but then they've also tweaked the numbers a bit, so it's going to be hitting that initial target. Whoever you are targeting, they're going to be getting 2,500% of the effectiveness of your Crackling Jade Lightnings, but then the cleaving damage is only 15% of this 2,500% effectiveness. So they started off having that single target nuke go crazy, which was really, really strong, but you didn't really feel it that much when you were cleaving on 4 targets because you were just hitting that initial target so hard. It really was pumping on like boss fights and stuff still. So they did tune it down a bit, or not tune it down. It's not weaker unless you just have less targets to hit. But they did redistribute some of this damage buff, and I personally am really liking this version. Yes, this was arguably stronger because you were guaranteed most of its value if you just have less targets to hit. But I do like this version a bit better because it just feels more, if I'm being honest, more balanced, and I think that it has landed on its feet. And still, this is still a massive upgrade from what we have on live currently in season 1. I've really liked all 3 of these changes. The big 3 single target damage changes have really made Mistweaver feel so much better to heal with in Mythic Plus and like an alternative raid build with Chi-Ji. I've really, really liked these playstyles. Now, this Chi-Ji change did cause a big shakeup for Mistweavers, and we have seen a massive rework because of it. And that rework is with Jade Bond, which is kind of like the lifeblood of our current WoW playstyle. Currently in WoW, Jade Bond is a variable cooldown, or it adds a variable cooldown to your Chi-Ji or your Yulon. However many mastery procs you can kick up while it's on cooldown, you're just going to slowly chip away at that cooldown time. So it's variable. Better players, like very high-end skill-capped players, are seeing more returns from this talent because they can just guarantee that they can reduce their Yulon in time for the next big mechanic that it's assigned. So it does take away, or I was afraid that it would take away, a good bit of skill expression. But how Jade Bond has been reworked, I was skeptical. I really was, especially because I was in Magical Christmas Land still from how it was performing on PTR once it was first opened up. I was skeptical of this, but I will be honest, I really like this change. Now, they changed the cooldown, the baseline cooldown of Chi-Ji and Yulon to 2 minutes. So it's no longer a 3-minute cooldown. It is just either a 2-minute cooldown, or you can take Gift of the Celestials to make it a 1-minute cooldown. But Jade Bond has been redesigned, so now you're going to be applying your Chi Cocoons still, but once those Chi Cocoons go away, once they either get broken or they time out, maybe the person doesn't take damage, they're going to be basically replaced by a 4-second Enveloping Mist. And this has really shocked me, if I'm being totally honest. So how the reason why I like this is because, like I said, my biggest concern with Jade Bond is that it was so good and so good at rewarding good play, or I guess not good play, but like a good player. And this current version kind of does the same, because imagine you're in a Yulon ramp, you pop Yulon, a few people get Chi Cocoons, and then you start your Enveloping Mist spamming around. Now you have a target that you basically can kind of dodge on who you cast that enveloping mist. So if your tank gets a Chikakun, and they have that Chikakun on them, and you're casting your enveloping mist and deciding on who to cast it on, you can avoid casting it on your tank. A tank is a horrible example, but say that it's like your Affliction Warlock named Tank. Okay, he gets one of the Jade, the Chikakuns on him. You're casting your enveloping mist around, and you just don't cast it on him unless you need to heal him, obviously. But because you know that it's going to be replaced by an enveloping mist soon, so in order to play optimally, you can kind of dodge those people. I've liked that aspect. It's kind of added like a little extra shift in how you can do your ramp or can see your ramp with Yu'lon. It's been fun to play with, but also one thing worth noting is it really does kind of help smooth out your Chi-Ji curve. Because Chi-Ji, right now, the way that I've been seeing it be played on the raid testing is that they are really leaning into those Chi-Ji Gusts of Mist. So I've seen a lot of people not even pressing Rising Sun Kick during those Chi-Ji ramps in raid. They're just Tiger Palm, Blackout kicking. They're skipping out a lot of the time on those Enveloping Mist casts, which is kind of supposed to be half or at least half of Chi-Ji's effectiveness. So they're just really leaning into these Gust of Mist healing bonuses. And having these enveloping mists come in, it does add in that additional healing, that burst of healing that you can get from having those enveloping mists out with that healing modifier. So it has been nice. And then Yu'lon Soothing Breath healing has been increased by 500. We've seen this number tweaked so many times. It's still not like super crazy. It's not going to be like, oh man, play Yu'lon because Soothing Breath is crazy. That's not the case, but it's still just a nice juicy bonus. But the coolest thing about this rework, like I said, I do like this rework. It surprised me a lot. But one really cool thing is that your Chikakuns now scale if you take Jade Bond. So since Jade Bond is twice as long of a cooldown of your Celestial, you're going to get twice as much shield when you use it. This is very strong. You're applying very large shields, and it's kind of enhanced your versatility effect. Like your versatility scales all of your shields that you apply. So this shield can get pretty disgusting in raid. So I have liked this a lot, and it kind of is making me wonder if we do see a tier where Mistweaver is kind of played in the MDI, would we ever see Jade Bond be taken in Mythic Plus just so they can get those massive shields on? I don't think so. I think more frequent Chi-Gis is still the play in Mythic Plus, but it's a discussion, and I think that's fun. I think this iteration of Jade Bond is opening up a bunch of different pathways that they could go with how they tune things that to me are very exciting. So I love the Jade Bond changes. I think it has also landed on its feet. It was definitely abusable in its recent iteration, but now it is in a spot that I think is very fair. I don't think, I'll go ahead and say this, I don't think anything about Mistweaver on the PTR is the B word that rhymes with like smoking. I don't think anything is that. I think we are just benefiting from being one of the only healers that feels really good right now, because a lot of the other healers are kind of struggling on the PTR from what I've seen. So yeah, what are some of the other big changes? Now, this one, when I first read it, it snuck under my radar. So Shaylin's Gift, its location has been moved up on our talent tree one tier. I really underestimated this, but this has opened my this has opened up a lot of areas because Shaylin's Gift was in our bottom tier, which is already starved for talent points. I'm sure if you've tried to theory craft any builds, you know that you just can't have everything that you want. But being able to have one more talent point free in the bottom tier and have to take one less filler talent in the middle tier has opened up. Now you can get like 2 points of Secret Infusion. Now you can have like Secret Infusion plus Peer into Peace or Pool of Mists and Mythic Plus. Like this has opened up a lot of like areas for exploration that I really like. However, I will say that with the addition of Emperor's Favor and with this change, it's made me think a lot about the talent point investment in Shaylun's Gift in Mythic Plus, and it's made me think that I truly believe that Emperor's Favor should be baked into Shaylun's Gift baseline instead of being a choice node with Legacy of Wisdom. And I think that Shaylun's and Legacy of Wisdom should still be where it is. Everything should still be where it is currently on PTR, but if they're going to implement Emperor's Favor, I think baseline Sheilun's Gift should be a giant spot heal. And then if you invest into Legacy of Wisdom to make it an AoE heal, it does like 33% less effectiveness, hits 5 targets. That's just me personally. I feel like I don't know, the talent point investment to get everything you would like down there it's so competitive, and I think that's where Emperor's Favor is really lacking, is just that the opportunity cost is just so high because of how competitive that talent point is. Now, I do also want to talk about our insurance healing. It was kind of clear that either our insurance healing was very broken, actually, in early iterations of the raid testing, or that it was just going to be extremely strong and an integral part of our healing in our raid build. However, they did address that issue. It was apparently scaling incorrectly, and now they've kind of increased its baseline effectiveness, which is very good because insurance is not the most strong thing that we're doing. It's not, which is good. You don't want that from a tier set. However, it's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. It's very good healing in a raid environment where you can get your 4 set all the way up to 10 stacks. And it's also kind of solid in Mythic Plus, can kind of save some lives left and right if you play around it very well. But I do like this change. I was kind of scratching my head because like, wait, why are they buffing it? But now I see why. It's because it was not performing correctly in Raid. But this has really helped it in Mythic Plus. It now does, I think it was doing like 7-ish% of my overall healing. Now it's doing like 8%, which I mean, that's not bad. We take those, you know, it's not like the worst thing, but that's still a lot for a new buff and one that performs or works how this one works. And the last big talking point that I want to talk about is spinning crane kick. I have been trying so hard to figure out all of the optimal uses of spinning crane kick because, you know, as someone who makes guides, I want to have all the correct information in there. And so far with this and all of the changes to Conduit of Celestials, I've been putting a lot of testing in Celestial Conduit and Conduit of the Celestials, and I have been impressed, but it's still looking like it's personally I'm going to be playing Master of Harmony, but Celestial Conduit damage, it is kind of cranking. Spinning crane kick damage is going up there, and there are some pools and some dungeons next tier where you do get some pretty high pull counts where you can afford to spin a couple times and look for that damage. So this damage increase has been nice. However, it's still a bigger question mark with your spinning crane kick target cap in a Master of Harmony build, which I like. I like having spinning crane kick be a button that deserves a spot on our bars and have a use case. I enjoy that. I don't enjoy it being the only button we press and the only button we rely on in Mythic Plus, which is not the case, which is good. I like this current balancing. Leave it as is. Don't buff it. Don't nerf it. Keep it as is. It's good. It feels good. It's not like it's not our rotation. It just is an option in our rotation, which is, I think, where a spell like Spinning Crane Kick should be in order to make our player experience the best thing possible. And then let's keep on the topic of Celestial Conduit. Like I said, Celestial Conduit, its damage is doing, it's kind of pumping, but it's not like, it's still not Master of Harmony levels, but it has been very good. I also have really liked the Heart of the Jade Serpent change. Now you get it every time you cast Sheilun's Gift. It just scales in time length per stack that you consume, kind of like Shao's lesson or how it works. This means that the one Sheilun's Gift talent point that you can slap in your raid build is more free. You know, you don't have to stack up or wait till you get to 10 Sheilun's Gift stacks, then pop it and make sure that all your Life Cocoon, Thunder Focus Tea, Renewing Mist, and your Rushing Wind Kick are all off cooldown to utilize this Heart of the Jade Serpent proc. No, you can just make sure you get all, once your Thunder Focus Tea, your Renewing Mist, and your Rushing Wind Kick are off cooldown, you can just pop your Sheilun's Gift and see some very nice cooldown shaving from this. I really like this change. I don't think it's going to make or break our playstyle, but it's still just very nice. It feels like you have to sit at 10 stacks less often if you do devote that point in your raid build. So it's pretty nice. And also, if you go Conduit with the Celestials in a Mythic Plus build, once again, if you're not consuming all 10 stacks, you're not wasting stacks devoting toward Heart of the Jade Serpent. So it's just a nice change, a very nice quality of life change in my opinion. Other than that, I think that's everything I want to talk about. The overwhelming force damage decrease, I thought we would feel it a ton, but we really don't with the Blackout Kick damage changes. So I really love where Mistweaver Monk is placed. We currently are one of the most played tested specs on PTR, so a big sample size of information to look at. I am having a blast playing it. It's not too much different from where we were or what we were doing, like physically, like the buttons I'm pressing aren't considerably different from where we were in season one, but that's both that is a good thing. I was having a blast in season one, and I'm having a blast testing season two. And then the things that have changed are massive gameplay enjoyment changes. I'm having so much more of an easy time healing boss fights in Mythic Plus, which was a pain point in season one, and it made the game less fun. Struggling that much on boss fights when I feel like we shouldn't have been. Now, in this current iteration, that pain point has been alleviated for the most part, in my opinion. But guys, let me know what you think. Are you excited to test out Mistweaver or play it in season two? I know a lot of people are going to be playing this spec, so get in while the getting's good. It's a fun time. I personally think it's the most fun spec in the entire game. But guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked this video or want to see more PTR stuff, let me know in the comments below, and make sure you like the video on your way out. Make sure you're subscribed if you want to see more season 2 content, as it sounds like a plane's landing behind my house. Sorry if that's loud. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Until then, take care.